Through his lens, exploring the artwork of Gordan Parks. November 30, 1912, March 7, 2006. Color Photography IPHTC 1341N01. Spring 2024. William Keane. By Kevin Wayne Newsom. Artist Biography Page Number 1. Born into poverty and segregation in Fort Scott, Kansas, in 1912, Parks was drawn to photography as a young man when he saw images of migrant workers taken by Farm Security Administration FSA photographers in a magazine. After buying a camera at a pawn shop, he taught himself how to use it. Despite his lack of professional training, he won the Julius Rosenwald Fellowship in 1942. This led to a position with the photography section of the FSA in Washington, D.C., and, later, the Office of War Information OWI. Working for these agencies, which were then chronicling the nation's social conditions, Parks quickly developed a personal style that would make him among the most celebrated photographers of his era. His extraordinary pictures allowed him to break the color line in professional photography while he created remarkably expressive images that consistently explored the social and economic impact of poverty, racism, and other forms of discrimination. Artist Biography Page Number 2. Gordan Parks, one of the greatest photographers of the 20th century, was a humanitarian with a deep commitment to social justice. He left behind an exceptional body of work that documents American life and culture from the early 1940s into the 2000s, with a focus on race relations, poverty, civil rights, and urban life. Parks was also a distinguished composer, author, and filmmaker who interacted with many of the leading people of his era, from politicians and artists to athletes and celebrities. Parks was a modern-day Renaissance man, whose creative practice extended beyond photography to encompass fiction and nonfiction writing, musical composition, filmmaking, and painting. In 1969 he became the first African American to write and direct a major Hollywood studio feature film, The Learning Tree, based on his best-selling semi-autobiographical novel. His next film, Shaft 1971, was a critical and box office success, inspiring a number of sequels. Parks published many books, including memoirs, novels, poetry, and volumes on photographic technique. In 1989 he produced, directed, and composed the music for a ballet, Martin, dedicated to the late civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Description of their work, photography including use of color. The use of artificial lights, dynamic poses and plush interiors as a framing device are qualities characteristic of Parks' fashion shoots. Color first entered Parks' photography through his photo essays and in instances when color dominated his subject matter. At the age of 25, Parks was struck by photographs of migrant workers in a magazine and bought his first camera, a Voigtlander Brillant, for $12.50 at a Seattle, Washington, pawn shop. The photographs in this image set speak to the power of Parks's voice as an artist. His images certainly serve as documents of specific moments in time, but individually and as a group they also reveal humanity, implore empathy, pose questions, provoke outrage, and even inspire activism. Though taken decades ago, Parks's photographs capture individuals and represent issues and themes that still resonate deeply with us today. What you like about their work. Gordan Parks has been a huge inspiration for me in many ways. Not only was he a photographer, but a filmmaker as well. He is known as a trailblazer in many ways. He also documented the real black experience through the lens of the black perspective, and that is very rare even for today. In society, the black experience has always been told through the white gaze, which means a lot of important details have been left out, undocumented, purposely left of the history books and off the records. Black people have always been painted as criminals, animals figuratively and literally. Subhuman beings, whose existence don't even deserve to be truthfully and respectfully documented. His body of work sent a powerful shock right down the evil, hypocritical, anti-black, untruthful spine of this system. It is testament of the true beauty, the true resilience, true history, exposure of the true unfair standards, and conditions thrust on by society that leads to the constant dehumanizing, humiliating treatment of black people. He inspires me to always view the world and tell my own story through my own lens and not to depend on expression of entities outside myself to define me or my real life experience. It is up to me and only me, to define who I am, and what the world I live in really looks like through my expression of my camera lens. One of photographer photos per slide with color analysis number 1. Gordan Parks Department Store, Mobile, Alabama, 1956. His color photography featured warm earth tone color schemes like this one. I can tell he made adjustment to the shutter speed cause of the blurred motion in the background. This photo deals with color photography psychology. It deals with the normal insidious silent violence the black people are constantly be subject to, cause of the harsh, cruel, unfair, unjustified standards placed on their lives. The presence of the red, colored only, sign is very bold and attention-getting. It is symbolic of the constant perpetuation of lied about inferiority, that backed by the implanted fear of real physical violence. That is what I gather from the look of the woman's face. She is hunched over with a very fearful look of awareness off in the distance. And there is something about the white-colored dresses that they are wearing. One of photographer photos per slide with color analysis number 2. Gordan Parks, American Gothic 1942. Monochromatic color scheme. Extremely symbolic from the set of the composition, tells a unique story, as story that constantly get pushed to the side, delegitimized, and completely erased from the history books. It challenged the viewer to tap into the psychological aspect and dare them to question the reality of what society is versus the reality of what society is, and the types of perpetuation that make be that way. Ella Watson is the woman in Gordan Parks's 1942 photograph American Gothic, which depicts a black mother and government cleaning worker in Washington, D.C. In the photo, Watson is positioned in front of an American flag holding a broom and mop, similar to Grant Wood's 1930 painting of the same name. One of photographer photos per slide with color analysis number 3. Norman Fontanelli Sr., Harlem, New York, 1967 by Gordan Parks, copyright and courtesy Gordan Parks Foundation. Monochromatic color scheme. He does a great job like he always done at use mainly monochromatic color schemes to help tell the story, and make it make scenes to lives and social conditions he was capturing. The facial expression is so strong and captivating. Parks really had a specially touch for drawing the viewer in and making society question their hidden truths that constantly get downplayed and delegitimized. The eyes are so powerful. I really has my so immersed in the situation, makes me question what happened to the human being. That glare on the broken glass illuminates the photo in a unique way. Great job at capturing that. One of photographer photos per slide with color analysis number 4. Photograph by Gordan Parks. Courtesy of and copyright the Gordan Parks Foundation. He did a really good job at capturing this moment in time with the natural sunlight. Great job at capturing the essence of human rights leader Malcolm X. The expression on his face, the stare, to his body pose, to the sweat on his forehead. The color scheme in this photograph express the beautiful natural skin color and the different shades. The colors are warm, natural earth-toned colors. The people are fight for their human right, and to be recognized and treated like human beings as they should. One of photographer photos per slide with color analysis number 5. Gordan Parks. Untitled, Harlem, New York, 1947. The Gordan Parks Foundation. Courtesy of and copyright the Gordan Parks Foundation. This photograph is a monochromatic color scheme. In my opinion, I would categorize this photo as color psychology. Because this is the infamous doll test that was performed on children, mainly black child, to test the effect of living in a racist anti-black society, the effect of constantly rude and negative imagery of oneself had on their developing minds. The results concluded that constantly normalized negative portrayals of their humanity caused an obscure sense of self-worth and others who love like them as well. That is why they chose the white doll. The angle and proximity in which this scene was captured is excellent. I picked up a camera because it was my choice of weapons against what I hated most about the universe: racism, intolerance, poverty. I could have just as easily picked up a knife or a gun, like many of my childhood friends did, most of whom were murdered or put in prison, but I chose not to go that way.